And we're back here on the show. We've got Dr. Kavita Sharma here. And the doctor is appropriate, right? You're a naturopathic doctor?
That's correct.
Kavita?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, boy, we were talking about a lot of stuff before we came on. So much to get into here, but you mentioned a lot of people think that the natural approach to health doesn't have a doctor designation, but you're an actual doctor.
Well, it's mostly understanding the difference between natural therapist or a naturopath or a naturopathic doctor. The level of training that naturopathic doctors actually go through is similar to that of the medical doctors. So we do 4 years of medical school as well as 2 sets of board exams, licensing board exams. So a lot of, when it comes to education and the public understanding the difference of who you're going to, this is where we hear a lot of comments, well, that doesn't work, they didn't know what they were talking about. But I'd challenge and invite people to ask questions. Ask, are you going to a natural therapist? Is that somebody who's taken a weekend course or a year course and puts up a certificate and says, I'm a natural healer or a naturopath, versus a doctor of naturopathic medicine who's actually, we are known as primary care practitioners, just as your medical doctor would be. And what that means is that people have the power of choice in Canada. And here we choose whether or not, I have some clients who I am their primary physician. Their medical doctors are collaborative on top of a team. Rather, I also have patients that see a medical doctor primarily.
Just curious, does that mean you have the same rights when it comes to going to the hospitals and visiting the patients and that sort of thing?
And that's the big difference with legislation in Canada. And that's what naturopathic doctors in our associations have been fighting for, is that we are under different regulations than medical doctors. So we are considered privatized system. Whereas medical doctors are covered under OHIP and have all the other services available to them that we all pay for.
Yeah.
But naturopathic medicine has to be a personal choice or a private system.
Now, are you guys lobbying to change that?
It's been ongoing, yeah. And we are close to it being changed, but then of course public support always matters, and governmental.
Right, because it just seems to me, I mean, obviously there's problems with the healthcare system in terms of the funding and how much it costs, but one of the things that I understand about naturopathic medicine is that it can be cheaper, it can save money
in the long run,
because you're often not treating the symptom or treating the problem after it's arisen, but you're preventing those problems from happening.
Absolutely. Some of our basic principles and main philosophies are that we do look at prevention of disease, not just health care, but also prevention of disease, treating the whole person, individualized medicine, because we believe in long-term care instead of looking at this acute approach or this short-term approach to things.
Right.
So does that mean you're not like just band-aiding it, meaning that when you go see your regular doctor, you're sick with a particular problem, a cold, a flu, whatever, and they're just like write you a script and send you on your way. How do you approach it differently?
So it's a good question. There's a lot of differences actually. I'll give you an example. So if a patient comes in for a headache, the way it would look in a medical doctor's office is you would come in, you'd speak for a few minutes about your headache, and you'd get what's an anti-headache pill or a painkiller. So it's a symptomatic approach. Whereas if you sat with a naturopathic doctor, we would actually look at the root causes. You'd be sitting with us for at least an hour. We'd ask about your digestion, other stressors in life, emotional health, diet, exercise, lots of factors on a physical, mental, emotional, and what we call spiritual levels, the vitality of the person. And that would take about an hour before we put pieces of the puzzle together. So we don't see headache as a disease or a condition that you have to treat. We see it as part of symptoms and pieces of a puzzle that tell you that there's something deeper going on. So cause medicine, root cause medicine. And we treat from that basis.
Oh, before we get into like specifics like flu and other things, flu shot rather, I want to ask you, one of the criticisms that I've heard in naturopathic care, maybe this isn't so much for naturopathic doctors, you explain there's different levels with different training, is that we're asked to take a lot of vitamins, and that the vitamins and the supplements are really a large part of the remedy or the solution to the problem that the patient's facing. But there's been, in recent light, particularly in the media, some speculation about vitamins, if they're even worth taking. And there's the second speculation that certain vitamins, particularly the women's formula vitamins, are actually doing women more harm than good and causing cancer. There's a study produced by the Mayo Clinic about this, particularly like the iron and I guess the
Copper.
metallic
Yep.
copper,
Yep.
that it's actually detrimental and can lead to women's cancers or death earlier than expected. Can you comment on that, and who should
Absolutely.
be taking vitamins, who shouldn't be taking vitamins, that sort of thing?
Absolutely. And this is where we advocate for collaborative care teams. So this is where I would say people always need a medical doctor, a naturopathic doctor, maybe a massage therapist, other practitioners on a team, because when it comes to nutrition, what we call clinical nutrition or clinical supplementation, I have heard many clients come into my office who may have cancer and ask their medical doctor, because of nutrient levels, because of chemotherapy, because of whatever other conditions they may have, I want some nutrients. Well, first, naturopathic doctor would focus on foods. We believe in whole foods and getting the nutrition from there. Now, there's a lot of aspects to that and why that's changed over the years here. But the other thing is that a medical doctor would make a comment to their clients and say, just get whatever multi you want off the shelf. Now, that is a bit of a challenge when you look at a naturopathic philosophy, because we went through 4 years of clinical nutrition supplementation training, because you can't just go and get any multi off the shelf. As you've just said, there are special formulations for females or males or children that have different conditions as well, like cancer, that therefore have iron and copper free supplementation. So here's where I would highly advocate for, if you are going to use any supplementation, that you have a naturopathic doctor prescribe you a professional brand, because there's also a difference between the brands you're getting off the shelf versus a professional brand you get from a naturopathic doctor who knows there's not a lot of additives in it, who knows that the values in it you're actually absorbing, who knows the form difference. A lot of tablets are being taken, and yet if you understand digestive system, you're only getting 7 to 11% that's actually on that bottle, on the label. Now, that's mostly gone down the drain or the toilet. If your digestive system is compromised, then it's less than that. Whereas naturopathic doctors would use liquid forms, powder forms, capsule forms. I mean, there's a greater understanding to then just saying to people, go and get a multi. Now, the second part of your question is, does everybody need a multi? I would say to you, no. We don't believe that everyone should be on a multi 24/7. Again, this is where we educate people on diet, the importance of the food we put into our body, like the fuel in our car.
But it just around that issue, isn't one of the reasons that we may need vitamins and minerals is because the food that we're growing now is grown on in depleted soil, or soil that's only getting the nutrients that come from fertilizer. So we're not getting the full range of minerals and vitamins that we would if the food was as good as it could be in a more natural world.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because this is where we talk about more whole foods or more organic foods. There are still dietary sources that we can get that do have that level of nutrients, but you're 100% right. The general sources of fruits and vegetables that we buy definitely have a different nutrient value because they are not made naturally through the sun. They're made through artificial methods. Then the other thing, of course, if you want to get even more political about it, is that pesticide laws in Canada are known to be the best compared to the US or Mexico or wherever else we're getting our fruits and vegetables. And yet, I don't know how many people go to a grocery store and look where it's actually made, because the fruits and vegetables are still being imported into Canada from all of these other countries. So then I say to people, you have to think about these things as, which country are you buying it from? Sure, the Canadian produce may not look pretty, because we're judging it by a book by its cover. It doesn't have the pretty wax on it, but yet it is more nutritious for you. And where possible, we advocate for organics. Now, that has to be within limitations because everybody's financial state is different. Certain foods that don't have a good shell should then be bought in organic if you can. That way you can still get the nutrient values out of the diet.
Okay.
It's interesting that you speak about organic grown food, because actually that's another debate along with these whether you should take a vitamin or not, is whether or not you should really buy organic food. There's some speculation that quote unquote organic food is really no better or no different than buying regular food. It's just a price hype and kind of a marketing scam.
Absolutely.
What's your comment on that?
Well, that's where I'd say to you, everything within moderation, everything within limitation. As I mentioned, certain foods should be organic based on the exposure to the pesticides. So berries, for example, there's not a very thick skin on it. So you would want to get something that is not being sprayed directly, like berries. Whereas you can get other vegetables that have a nice thick skin on it. You're peeling bananas, for example, that you peel off, and therefore the vegetable is more, or the fruit there is more protected. So I work with my clients. We all work in Trinity Health Clinic. We work with our patients with what their limitations are.
Hey, let's talk about the flu shot.
Let's do
because
it.
Yes, it's a very
Jeanette
important part of the
we were
segment.
talking about this, and when I said that she was getting the flu shot, I got a funny look from you.
Well, it was
Okay, first let's just preference and say there are some people who should and some people who should not get a flu shot.
Really? Let's,
how and
let's-
on what basis?
Yeah, let's talk to the
so
doctor about
that's
this,
my.
Jeanette.
I want to ask you about that. Yeah.
The flu shot is it's a good question. It's a great controversy in the sense that, again, I would educate people is what are we so afraid of? Why are we getting flu shots?
Remember that big pandemic we had last year?
Yeah, I remember the huge pandemic.
That nobody got the flu, except everybody got the flu shot?
Uh,
What was that all about? Big PR?
Media.
Are they trying
right.
to depopulate us?
Well, I don't know about what their motives are. I just know that if we educate ourselves and again ask ourselves, what are we so afraid of? The symptoms of flu are a good sign. Naturopathic doctors look at this differently. Congestion, fever. These are good signs that your immune system are working. So why are we suppressing it? It's like the engine light on our cars. We treat our cars better than we do our bodies. An engine light comes on your car. Jeanette, do you ever smash that light? The engine light, do you smash
No,
it?
as soon as I see it, I go and take my car in for service.
To the mechanic, and what do you say to him?
I say, this light came on. I don't know what it's about. 'Cause
Beautiful.
I'm the type of woman doesn't know the guts of the car, doesn't care, just puts the
Absolutely.
key and turns and drives. And the minute something goes wrong,
That's right.
hello, Daddy. Something's wrong. I take the car.
So I'm the mechanic of your body, and that's what we encourage patients to do is when your engine light comes on, like a headache or a fever or congestion issues, this is because something's working in your body. Bring your car or your body to your mechanic, which is your naturopathic doctor, to look under the hood and see what aspects are there.
But Kavita, Dr. Sharma,
Yeah,
can I
it's okay.
just jump in here for 1
Please
second?
do.
I have actually a lot of friends who are medical doctors.
Great.
And the reason that they promote taking the flu shot, not in everyone's case, but in someone's case like mine, is because I have diabetes, I'm a bronchial asthmatic, and I have other issues that affect my immune system
Okay.
and really compromise it to the point where, I mean, severe bronchial infections that are borderline pneumonia. And it happens a lot to me several times in the year. A flu shot can, for someone who's in the same predicament as me or who suffers from diabetes or anything that compromises the immune system, a flu shot is advised because it can minimize our bouts with it. And and that's why I think in some cases like myself, or if a case of the elderly or something like that, it may be more advised to take it. What's your thoughts on that? Because you said just a minute ago that it shows that our immune system is working. In my case, it actually shows that it's not working, despite taking vitamins, eating right, exercising, and drinking aloe vera juice, or doing things to pump up my immune system.
So again, I would say there's a number of things there.
Okay.
One is prevention. That's greatly advocated by naturopathic doctors, is why wait till you get the flu? You should be preventing it by boosting your immune system through natural methods, okay? That's one. The second thing is when it comes to what you're saying about having a compromised immune system, you have to understand the flu shot only works if you actually get flu symptoms after the flu shot. Because that's the way the immune system builds its antibodies or its immune boosting functions. So if you get a flu shot and you actually don't get sick from it, your immune system hasn't actually turned on the signal to say, I'm aware of what this virus looks like. That's one. The other thing is that the flu shot is only 3 strains of a flu virus when there's hundreds of viruses during flu season. So how do you know that you're getting the right virus at that time? Some people still get sick, right? The other thing is a long-term view of the flu shot is if you don't get sick from the flu shot so that your immune system has already stimulated itself to be aware of that virus, then there's a pileup factor. It's like looking at the long-term causes of flu shots is what happens then, where does this toxic load actually build up in your body? And if you're gonna get the flu shot and you have to get sick to build your immunity, why not just get the flu? There's no guarantee you're going to get the flu this year.
But why go through all of that and have to go on multiple uses of antibiotics? Wouldn't have taking the flu shot just wipe that out for me, or people in my situation prevent us from having to go through these like long bouts of sickness weeks where you have to take multiple, like not just one batch of antibiotics, but like 2 and 3, and you're still sick for weeks on end. It takes like months to clear it out. Wouldn't the flu shot just, do that for me?
There's no guarantee of that. Research on, there's the Cochrane database. It's the gold star medical scientific research base that all physicians use, naturopathic doctors, medical doctors. And if you look at the research on there, you'll find pros and cons to the flu shot, but the ultimate is that they've done studies on the elderly population and children, and there is no guarantee, they cannot say with complete validity that the flu shot is actually helping them, because looking at the incident rates, you're looking at roughly the same population that had gotten the flu shots and not, whether or not they got the flu that year.
So are you saying that based on this, you would say don't take a flu shot?
I advocate for, what we do is educate and empower patients to make an informed decision. So whatever our patients decide to do, we support them in that way. So take it or don't. I can tell you what I would do and my family does. We don't take it. But here's the thing is, if clients want to take it.
If you don't take it, how are you getting enough mercury?
Or even better, have you seen how the flu shots are made?
No.
I invite people to Google. I invite people to Google how they're made, so that I'm not sitting here completely bashing a flu shot. Because again, power of choice. So here's where a naturopathic doctor would say is, if you were one of my clients tonight and you said you wanted to take it, I would educate you on it. But at the end of the day, it's still your choice to do so. And if you did take it, then I would deal with the toxic load that then builds up in your body, and therefore on a long-term basis actually suppresses or decreases the function of your immune system. And so you're getting these long bouts of flus over and over. And then I would want to prevent chronic disease in you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Plus,
so you would also maybe prescribe a certain like regime for me with specific, I guess, immune building supplements, zinc, for example.
Well, that's one, but there are many. It's just not nutritional supplementation, it's diet as well. There's hydrotherapy, which is the therapy of water, botanicals, but immune building is the prevention part, of course, and if you're sick, we would do that in addition. But there's also alternatives that we have, natural antivirals, natural antibiotics. The other thing is if you have a severe infection, your naturopathic doctor is going to be the first one to say, go and get antibiotics. But you brought that topic up of reusing. That's been an issue and a controversy in the public health care, is that antibiotics are constantly given.
But even if it's
like
not
candy.
Even if it's a virus.
A viral infection.
Yes, it's given
and
like
that's
candy.
two-way. That's not just from medical doctors, it's also from patients who are, it's medical bullying both ways. A patient won't leave a medical doctor's office and says, no, I want a prescription, and yet medical doctors sometimes also give them out easily. But what are you doing in the long run? Everyone hears of probiotics, good bacteria now. I mean, the reason why that's, I guess, now on a commercial and media level is because naturopathic doctors have been advocating for this in a long run. Every time you use the antibiotic, it rubs out all good and bad bacteria. It doesn't do anything for you in the long run. But
does it come back? The flora?
Not if you don't take something with it, because again, the diet has changed. We don't eat fermented foods as much as we used to. Our grandmothers aren't making homemade yogurts anymore. So that's also changed in diet over time, is that we're not getting the natural pre and probiotics through our foods.
But probiotic is also added a lot now to yogurts and other dairy items.
Sure.
Whether it's enough or whether it's, again, just a marketing scam, that's remains to be seen. Can I ask you two things about, we're talking about overusing antibiotics, and there's natural remedies that can address the symptoms of the need for an antibiotic, such as colloidal silver, which is getting harder and harder to get that. The Canadian marketplace somehow is stamped, it's being stomped out. You can't get colloidal silver the way you used to, because there's some side effects with that. Things like, oil of oregano, other natural, available in natural health food store items that can be taken to also cure flu-like symptoms or, bronchial infections. What's your take on colloidal silver and oil of oregano as a substitute?
Those two specifically?
Yeah, or zinc or any of it.
Well, because there's a lot of different things you can use as alternatives. To say that people should just be getting colloidal silver or zinc right off the counter and just start taking it without any advisement, it's not something that I would educate people to do. I would educate them to find somebody who can help them with the right decision, because some people don't need zinc. These are more symptomatic approaches. These are Band-Aid approaches when you talk about just zinc to boost the immune system. Is technically we look at the physical, the mental, the emotional. There's a lot of, like, for example, stress. Stress is a big factor that then suppresses the immune system. For a naturopathic doctor to have a patient come in and say, I never get sick, that's a huge red flag for us, because we're in contact with viruses and bacteria every day. Why is your immune system not turning on? Those are the people we see later in life. Like, you see a lot of this in high-powered corporations. This is why we offer corporate wellness now for a lot of companies, is because they've realized the health of their employees is the wealth of their business. But you have to take it all with a grain of salt, because using colloidal silver, for example, these are trace minerals. Anything in excess would not be good for you.
So, and what about things like, you know, candida is a hot topic.
Sure, yeah.
Cleansing, aloe vera juice. Do you recommend that on a daily basis? Using those type of things to, you know, basically cleanse on a daily basis?
I don't recommend anything on a daily basis. I have a different view in that. It's just like the multi. I think we need things on and off for different periods of our life, different times of our life. If you know you're under high stress, then you take good bees and you take some of these things. But there is nothing that I believe we need all the time forever. We shouldn't be building a dependency. I believe that the body has its own innate power to heal itself if we guide it that way and if we support it that way. So some of these things, sure, if you're sick and you want to do prevention, take vitamin C's and things like that, they will work. But again, I would encourage people to look at more of the holistic picture of why they may be getting repeatedly sick or for long bouts of time.
And I guess it would be like if someone's got some health issues, they would come to you as a naturopathic doctor. You're going to spend that time. You're going to look at them as a whole person and figure out what these symptoms are in the context of everything else, and then maybe make some recommendations.
Absolutely.
Right? Mm-hmm. Do you work with different methodologies? Like, you know, we hear about things like homeopathy or Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic approaches. Do you have training in any of those?
We actually have training
areas?
in all of those. We are trained in pharmaceuticals because we need to know them, because a lot of our clients and patients do come in on pharmaceutical prescriptions. We don't prescribe them, but our methods of treatment are botanical medicine, physical medicine, homeopathic medicine, clinical nutrition, diet, lifestyle counseling, traditional Chinese medicine, and acupuncture. And then many of us go on and either specialize in some of those areas or consider ourselves eclectic, which means we keep all of those, and then go on and add energetic therapies or whatever else that we would like to add to our belt as diverse naturopathic doctors in the field.
Anything that heals, right? You can incorporate into your...
Anything that hits those levels of the person.
Yeah. Look,
Just one question, if you don't mind, because I know we're running out of time.
That's okay.
You mentioned that, you know, visiting your GP is covered by OHIP,
Absolutely.
and that OHIP doesn't recognize your visits or cover your visits.
That's right.
How much can a potential patient expect to pay in a visit to have, you know, ongoing healthcare treatment with you?
First visit or like an hourly type rate?
Well, I guess first visit and then ongoing.
Well, first visit all depends on, of course, the expertise and the level of training that you're going to. If you're going to the mainstream NDs, you're going to someone who's considered a specialist in our profession. That can range anywhere from $150 to anywhere up above $350, $400, because we have some people who are specialists in certain conditions, and it takes a while to even get in with them. Hourly rates can range anything from, say, $100, $110 to up to $150.
Okay, well, you can't put a price on your health.
No.
that's right.
Your price,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Health is priceless.
Can you treat diabetes?
Absolutely.
There you go.
But we don't treat disease, we treat the person.
Right.
Right,
Awesome.
the symptom, the
Awesome.
cause.
I want to ask you just briefly before we go
Sure.
about because you use traditional herbal medicine. Are you, and you know, Jeanette, you mentioned, you know, colloidal silver is less available than it used to be, and I hear that there's a lot of health products, natural health products, that are disappearing from our shelves
Yes.
in this country. Do you have any comments about that? Why is that happening, and is it a good thing?
Oh, well, my favorite saying is, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than getting underneath the anxiety behind things being taken away, we always speak of empowerment. I empower myself, I empower my colleagues to basically look at other alternatives. If things are being taken off the shelf, it's fine. A lot of that is government legislation and things that are happening because more of the public are interested in naturopathic medical services.
But
And-
also some people are misusing it, leading to very serious ramifications, which is another reason why they're taking it
In
off.
what way? Oh,
Well,
the
for
products.
example, colloidal silver, if
Overusing
it's
it.
misused
Absolutely.
or not used in the wrong way, can lead to serious ramifications. That's part of the reason why these products are disappearing.
And part of why naturopathic doctors would like everything that we prescribe on a professional level to be coming through a naturopathic doctor's prescription. Just like medical doctors have their route of treatment, which are pharmaceuticals, through prescription. 100%. And that's why it was hard to answer your questions, because I don't think people should be taking things off of a shelf because they saw a good commercial on it. It may not suit them.
So just before we go, we should mention your website, which is we'll let you say it.
www.trinityhealthclinic.com.
And where is that?
That is located on, it's 220 Duncan Mill Road, Suite 516, which is basically just north, it's off of Don Mills, north of Shepherd. No, excuse me, yeah, north of Shepherd and south of York Mills. It's in an office.
No, it's north of York Mills, south of Shepherd.
Is it?
Yeah, just
Okay.
north of York Mills.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's right there off of Don Mills,
Yeah,
between,
it's Don
between
Mills and
Shepherd and
York
York Mills.
Basically
Perfect.
Don Mills and
Thank
York
you.
Mills. There
So
you
we
go.
should
You can just
also
give us a call.
mention again that you have a really good giveaway for either a caller in, or we can do it by email too. We'll give you the info in a minute. But the giveaway is for a medical consultation with you or any of your trained professional staff.
Absolutely.
Worth $75, where someone can come in and get a full assessment of what's going on from their emotional, their physical, and their whole state. So they get a really good analysis, and that's a great giveaway.
And we're going to do it by email.
We're going to
okay?
do it by
Yeah,
email
so
today.
Send us
So
an email
at
to contact us at thatchannel.com, and we will connect you to Dr. Kavita Sharma.
So take her up on that offer. And thank you, Dr. Kavita, for sharing all your insights
Thank
with
you
us
for the
today.
invitation.
And we will be right back with David Cohen, host of the Small Business Big Ideas show, to talk business and celebrate Small Business Week here in Toronto this week.
That's right. We'll be right back.
Was for them to succeed.